A robber plans to hold up a gas station. But nothing goes as he expected. What seemed like a simple heist quickly turns into a nightmare when the female employee kidnaps him and even attempts to sexually assault him. For this criminal, this is bound to be the worst night of his life. This is Hell Night. The story begins when Melinda drives to work in the middle of a snowy night. Upon arriving at the convenience store attached to the gas station where she works, she sees a man pumping gas while smoking a cigarette. With polite firmness, she asks him not to smoke near the pumps. She makes it clear she doesn't mind him smoking, but suggests he should stand farther away from the gas station. She even jokes that they could smoke together in her truck, though the man declines, saying he's almost done. Melinda insists on warning him about the real danger of smoking near fuel, that the whole place could go up in flames in an instant. The man, with arrogant disdain, replies that he's not stupid and that he has no intention of sticking his cigarette into the gas pump. Melinda explains that she meant no disrespect and sees no reason for him to speak to her like that. She then heads inside, where she meets her coworker Zella, who is on the same shift. Zella tells her that Diane, the employee from the previous shift, left without cleaning the restroom and didn't restock the supplies. Melinda doesn't complain, simply assuring that she'll take care of it. Soon after, a young man inside the store tries to strike up a conversation with her, but he quickly avoids eye contact and acts cold. Melinda goes to clean the men's restroom when another customer walks in. She tells him she's almost done and he can use it if he wants. The man, a bit embarrassed, suggests she should hang a caution sign when cleaning inside. Melinda nods in agreement and quietly steps out to let him use it. A little later, she prepares coffee for another customer and, oddly, dips her finger into the hot liquid before putting money from the cash register into the store's safe. When she returns to the main area, she finds Zella dancing joyfully by herself. At that moment, a car pulls up outside the gas station. Zella encourages Melinda to join in and sway her hips to the music. Unbeknownst to her, Zella is secretly recording her with a phone. When Melinda realizes, she gets angry and demands that Zella delete the video. Zella laughs and says that lots of people will see it. Melinda asks if she means the regular customers who stop by, but Zella says no, adding that nobody really knows who Melinda is anyway. Though visibly upset, Melinda can't convince Zella to delete the video, as she brushes it off as nothing serious. Just then, an older man walks into the store and heads straight for Zella. Melinda asks if he needs help, but he ignores her and focuses entirely on Zella. He reminds her that during their last conversation, she mentioned her feet hurt from standing too long, so he brought her a pair of soft insoles. He guesses she wears a size 9. Before Zella can say anything, Melinda picks up the insoles and comments that they look comfortable in that. After long hours on her feet, anyone's legs would feel sore. She tries to hand them over, but Zella looks very uncomfortable. She tells the man she doesn't wear size 9 and doesn't want to accept anything from him. She coldly makes it clear that she doesn't need insoles and doesn't want any attention from him. Melinda tries to intervene, saying he was just trying to be nice, but Zella decisively cuts off the conversation. The man, visibly hurt, quietly leaves the store. Melinda follows him outside and tries to comfort him, saying she tried the insoles and they felt as if they were made just for her. Like she was Cinderella, but the man doesn't respond, ignoring her before walking away, leaving her alone in the cold. Meanwhile, the young man who had been in the store earlier steps out of his car and adjusts a gun tucked in the back of his waistband. Back inside, Melinda greets him warmly and introduces herself as Melinda, telling him she works there. The young man, with a charming appearance, asks if everyone at the store is as nice as she is. Melinda replies that it's not always the case. She adds that Zella can be a bit blunt, but she understands because people constantly hit on her just for being so attractive. The man asks Melinda where the cigarettes are. She points him to the shelves near the register. At that moment, another car arrives. It's Officer Lou, a police officer Melinda knows from his regular patrols in the area. She greets him and asks if the patrol car he's driving is new. Meanwhile, the young man, whose name is Billy, looks around nervously, pretending to browse while keeping a close eye on everyone inside the store. Officer Lou tells Melinda that yes, it's a new car, and tonight is his first solo patrol shift. Melinda asks if he's nervous, and he nods but adds that he actually enjoys patrolling alone. Meanwhile, inside the store, Zella approaches Billy and asks if she can help him with anything. He replies that he's just looking for condoms and slyly suggests that maybe she could give him some advice about that. Outside, Melinda tells Officer Lou that it's her break and suggests taking a little walk. Without waiting for his reply, she climbs into the patrol car and excitedly comments on how impressive it is, almost like a mobile office. Lou nods in agreement and explains that it's one of the latest models. Melinda suggests driving around the parking lot, but Lou looks hesitant and replies that he can't do that while on duty. In a playful tone, Melinda jokes that he could just arrest her and take her along while working. Lou stays calm, responding that perhaps they can take a walk later and invites her into the store for coffee, clarifying that he's not interested in anything beyond friendship. Inside the store, the young man buys the condoms Zella suggested, tells her to keep the change, and asks if he can use the restroom. Sela happily shows him the way. Soon after, Officer Liu enters to pay for coffee. He takes the opportunity to ask Sela how her evening is going. Sela, tired, replies that she just wants to go home, but can't because her boyfriend, PY, is acting like an idiot and seems completely unconcerned about always being late. While they talk, Melinda, from a distance and without the officer noticing, secretly takes several photos of him with her phone. Sela notices and angrily asks what the hell she's doing. Panicked, Melinda drops her phone, which shatters on the floor. Sela asks directly if she was taking pictures, pointing out that this behavior is completely inappropriate. Liu immediately intervenes, asking Sela to calm down, then approaches Melinda and asks if her phone is damaged. Noticing the cracked screen, he tries to reassure her, saying his own phone isn't much better. Just then, an urgent call comes over his radio. The officer immediately takes the order and leaves the store. Sela turns to Melinda, scolding her for her terrible behavior. She demands to know if Melinda has been secretly taking photos of anyone else and threatens that if Melinda doesn't hand over the phone, she'll report her and get her fired. Melinda hands over the phone, insisting that she only took pictures of Officer Liu. Sela comments that the situation is genuinely disturbing and that the officer will probably think Melinda is obsessed or unstable. Upon further inspection of the phone, Sela finds the library full of photos of Liu. She asks Melinda if she goes home and fantasizes about him. Sela insults Melinda, calling her a strange virgin, and suggests she might be suppressing desires that a truck driver, or even Zella, could fulfill if asked. This makes Melinda even sadder. She retreats to the back of the store to smoke and cry. After a while, Melinda calms herself and returns to the counter, only to find a shocking sight. Billy is holding a gun, committing a robbery. He reassures Sela that he's not there to hurt anyone and that his goal isn't malicious. Then he turns to Melinda, asking if she can follow simple instructions. She nods in agreement. Billy tells her to move closer to Zella. Melinda, slightly annoyed, clarifies that Sela is not her friend, but she stands beside her anyway. Billy promises that no one will get hurt, explaining that he's not a vicious criminal but caught up in a small problem and needs their cooperation. He says some dangerous people want to kill him, and it's not his fault. He asks if they want him dead and inquires if either of them owns the store. When Melinda denies it, Billy says, "Good, this isn't personal, I'm not robbing them because it's not their money." He clarifies that his target is the cash in the register and the safe. Sela says they don't have the safe key because only the manager keeps it. Billy, disappointed, demands that they give him whatever is in the register. Sela responds that there's less than $100 since most people pay by card now. Hearing this, Billy fires a warning shot into the ceiling, frightening them, and orders Sela to be quiet. He then turns to Melinda, telling her to make sure her friend doesn't cause more trouble. Melinda coldly replies that Sela is no longer her friend and tells her not to create problems. She then asks Billy what he plans to do with the money. Billy replies that he intends to use it to pay off a gang. Melinda then suggests that there's a significant amount in the safe and that she can help retrieve it. Sela, surprised, asks if Melinda really intends to help him. Melinda defends herself, saying he has a gun. She walks to the safe with Billy's backpack and begins putting money into it. While Billy stands with Sela, a few customers enter the store. Billy warns Sela not to do anything unusual, or he won't hesitate to shoot everyone, since he needs the money. Just then, Melinda steps out carrying the money bag from the safe. She pauses in front of a mirror, fixes her hair slightly to look more attractive for Billy, and subtly unbuttons her shirt. Meanwhile, two customers are checking out at the counter. One man intends to pay with cash, but Sela informs him they don't have change, so he switches to a credit card. The man then asks Sela if she knows the way to a specific address. Sela seizes the opportunity and writes down the address on a piece of paper. By coincidence, the man asks her for directions, but his young daughter starts noticing something strange about Billy, who keeps sneaking around from the hallway. The little girl feels uneasy and urges her father to leave immediately. Just as she is about to hand the address note to her father, Melinda quickly steps forward and snatches it from her hand. She asks the man where he wants to go. He reads the street name, and Melinda personally gives him directions, effectively neutralizing Chella's attempt to raise an alarm and escape the dangerous situation. The man and his daughter leave the store. Melinda then informs Billy that she has prepared all the money. Billy shows gratitude, calling her an angel and thanking her for making things easier. He asks Melinda to hand him the money bag. Curiously, she asks where he plans to go with the money. Billy replies that he needs to go pay off a debt, no matter where it takes him. Melinda continues to ask if she can go along. Sela looks at her in surprise, asking if she's crazy, and sarcastically suggests she should follow him because they would make a perfect couple. Billy tries to grab the bag back, but Melinda insists on going with him, saying she only wants to accompany him. Billy angrily states that it will never happen and demands she hand over the money. Sela, witnessing Melinda's behavior, commands her to give the bag to Billy. Eventually, Billy, exhausted from the argument, snatches the bag from Melinda. Sela yells at him, calling him a coward, a man who threatens two women with a gun, and asserts that he's not a real man. Those words enrage Billy, and he starts arguing with Sela. In her anger, Sela comments that he's lucky her boyfriend isn't present, because he also has a gun and is far more of a man than Billy. She then bluntly orders him to take the money and leave. Like a true coward, Billy, furious, pushes Sela, points the gun at her, and growls that he had already warned her. He blames her for everything, saying he tried to be reasonable but she wouldn't shut up. He orders Melinda into the restroom while dragging Sela into the storage area, making her kneel and threatening to teach her how to speak respectfully. Meanwhile, Melinda steps out of the restroom. In a sudden, impulsive move, she heats up a cup of coffee. Seeing the dangerous situation unfold, she decides to bring the cup into the storage area. Facing Billy, she throws the hot coffee directly at his face, burning him. Taking advantage of Billy's panic, Melinda attacks him with a fire extinguisher in a desperate effort. Amid the chaos, Billy fires his gun and accidentally kills Sela. A few minutes later, Melinda is seen cleaning up the crime scene, stuffing Chela's body into a large bag. At that moment, Billy regains consciousness, tied to a chair. In a rage, he curses Melinda, calling her a fool and insisting he never intended to shoot Sela, claiming it's all Melinda's fault. He asks why she's cleaning up the scene and wonders if she's planning to fabricate a story for the police. Calmly, Melinda lifts the chair Billy is tied to and, with an unusual composure, grabs another chair and sits opposite him, staring intently. She then asks why he didn't let her go along before, reminding him that she wanted to escape with him, but he had refused. Billy, tense, replies that she's crazy, that he doesn't even know her and has no reason to involve her in this mess. He insists that things don't need to get this complicated. Melinda, in a challenging tone, responds that she didn't expect it to go this far and had no intention of letting him die. Billy repeats that it's all her fault and demands she release him. He assures her he won't harm her, but he needs to deliver the money to his gang, otherwise they will find him. They only need to know he was involved in a robbery as justification to hunt him down. Melinda doesn't hesitate and suggests he escape with her. Billy, surprised, asks if she has called the police. She replies that she hasn't. He then asks what she plans to do next. Melinda hesitates and admits she isn't sure. Billy visibly worries, explaining that they're both in serious trouble. At this point, she is now his accomplice. She took the money from the safe and handed it to him. And she's also the one who threw coffee in his face. Sela is dead, and sooner or later someone will discover it. Melinda stares at him while Billy tries to appear calm and suggests that they both leave the area. He says he knows he can trust her. Melinda smiles faintly and says she has always been on his side. She took the money from the safe because she trusted him. Billy, confused and angry, says she's losing control and that it's her own problem. Then he warns that if the gang sees a beautiful girl like her going with him, they might hurt her in retaliation. He also explains that he didn't let her follow him initially because he didn't believe she truly wanted to escape. Melinda, with a gentle, sad smile, says she wasn't lying. Billy replies that he believes her now. But at first, the idea was crazy. Who would give up their life to run with an armed stranger? They continue talking, and in a twist, Billy convinces her to hand him a cigarette. As he lights it, he says he still can't believe she had the courage to throw coffee in his face, and that it still burns. He then asks for a few painkillers. Melinda gets up to fetch the medicine and water for him. On the way back, she admits she truly wanted to escape with him, but needed to consider what to say to her boyfriend. Billy skeptically asks, "You really have a boyfriend?" She replies yes. He then asks if she thinks her boyfriend cares about her. She says maybe, but she doesn't care because she wants to leave with him. She confirms that, in any case, she doesn't like her boyfriend. Billy looks at her seriously and says he could deliver the money to the gang alone while she stays behind to call the police and report that someone robbed the store and fired shots, so that when things settle down, they could meet again. Melinda, looking hesitant, asks if he no longer wants to escape with her. Billy laughs bitterly and says he does, but she has a boyfriend, which complicates things. If she wants to escape, she must decide immediately without hesitation. Melinda then hands him a painkiller, hoping to get out of the situation. He tries to convince her to escape immediately. She stands to get a fried snack. Billy begins to feel strange and asks if she gave him something, because he feels odd. Then he pleads with her to release him. Later, it's revealed that Melinda had actually given him an aphrodisiac, knowing he had been lying all along. She admits she knew all of his lies and that if released, he would surely kill her. She strips him down, tapes his eyes and mouth, then lowers herself to her underwear and tries to sexually assault him. However, when she straddles him, Billy struggles, partially freeing himself from the restraints, jumps up, and attacks her. He slams into a cabinet and falls. She isn't sure if he's dead or unconscious, so she grabs the gun and the money bag. Another man comes into the store to buy coffee but doesn't see anyone, so he picks another drink, also startled by Melinda's uncontrollable sobbing. In that moment, Melinda decides to call the police and tell the full truth. But just then, Perry, Chella's boyfriend, arrives. He asks Melinda about Sela, but she replies that she's not there. Perry emphasizes that he had tried contacting her for over an hour and knew he would have to come in person eventually. He asks if Melinda saw Sela leave with anyone, but she says she didn't notice anything unusual, only that Sela had left. Perry tries calling Sela again, and at that moment, Shela's phone, which is still in the store, begins to ring. Perry hears the phone ringing, finds it on the floor, and looks confused. He asks Melinda why Shela's phone is there if she had already left, since Sela never leaves her phone unattended for more than 2 minutes. He also wonders if she's still in the store. Melinda insists that Sela has gone. Perry counters that if she really had, she would have returned to get her phone. Then he asks why Melinda is crying. With no other choice, Melinda fabricates a story. She says Sela left with a man she had never seen before. Perry asks what the man looked like, and Melinda says he looked normal, wearing a jacket. He continues asking if they seemed to know each other, and Melinda replies that it seemed like they were dating. She says they may have gone to a hotel or somewhere similar. When Perry asks where they might have gone, Melinda says she doesn't know. Everything happened too fast. Perry says he'll check local hotels for Sela, and if she comes back for her phone, Melinda should tell her he has it. Thanks to this, Melinda successfully gets Perry to leave the store. Immediately after, she thinks about what to do with Sela's body, but she doesn't have much time to plan, because at that moment, a group of gang members searching for Billy arrives at the store. Not wanting to be discovered, Melinda tells them the store is closed. The gang leader points to the "Open 24/7" sign, and Melinda quickly responds that yes, but tonight is an exception. He asks if anything unusual has happened. Melinda insists nothing is wrong, she's just cleaning up a mess. One of them says they are looking for a friend, someone who likes to act like a cowboy. Melinda quickly replies that no one like that has passed by here. Tension rises when one of the gang tries to enter the store to buy cigarettes. Melinda firmly says the store is closed. Seeing the pressure mounting, she pulls out a gun. The gang immediately draws their guns in response. In tears, she begs them to leave, saying she's very busy. The leader notices surveillance cameras installed throughout the store and orders his men to lower their guns to avoid trouble. He then tells Melinda that they'll drive around the area. If they don't find who they're looking for, they'll come back later, when the store might be open again. Melinda realizes everything is being recorded and tries to remove the storage device from the surveillance system, hoping to erase all evidence. However, she can't detach it and stands still for a moment, overwhelmed while considering her next step. Finally, she grabs 2 plastic jugs from the store and goes outside to fill them with gas. While refueling, she glances around and sees the gang members still lurking suspiciously in the area. After filling the jugs, she returns inside. As Melinda prepares to pour gas around the store, Officer Lou suddenly appears. He instinctively points his gun at her but immediately lowers it when he sees her panicked and desperate expression. He approaches and asks if she's okay and whether anyone else is with her. Melinda replies that she's alone. Lou continues asking if she's seen anyone suspicious nearby. Melinda, lacking confidence, says she's not sure. He tells her that outside, next to her pickup, there's a gray vehicle matching the description of a stolen car he's tracking. He asks if she's ever seen it, and she shakes her head no. The officer looks suspicious and says that in that case, he will need to check the security camera footage. Melinda tries to dissuade him, explaining that only Diane has the key and access rights, and she's not present. Lou is undeterred and says that in that case, he will have to call Diane. Although Diane doesn't answer on the first call, she picks up the second time. Lou informs her he needs to review the footage and, since she is the only one with access, asks Diane to bring the key to the store. Feeling out of options, Melinda changes tactics and says that, now that she thinks about it, she remembers seeing a suspicious person, the last person she noticed before the gray vehicle appeared. She explains that the person asked her about the nearest hotel in the area. Lou takes note of this but doesn't fully believe it and says he will inspect the store to ensure everything is fine. Melinda panics and insists the suspect is no longer there, but Lou continues his inspection. As the officer walks around the store, Melinda follows closely, armed. When Lou approaches the storage area where Billy is hiding, she raises her gun firmly, ready to act if he discovers anything. But after a cursory check, Lou concludes that everything seems normal. Before leaving, he tells Melinda that everything looks okay and departs without suspicion. Immediately after, Melinda goes into the storage area and discovers that Billy has escaped. He's gone. She starts searching throughout the store. Once done, she straps on the backpack containing all the money and suddenly hears a noise. Startled, she drops her gun onto the floor, which has already been soaked with gasoline, so she decides to leave it. At that moment, the power goes out. She tries to run outside but finds the door locked. Billy is seen hiding around the store, looking for the money. At the same time, Shela's boyfriend returns, worried, asking what's happening. He tries to get inside, but Melinda says through the crack in the door that she can't open it due to the blackout. Billy appears from behind the store, closes the door, and blocks the exit with various objects. Confronting Chella's boyfriend, he demands his help, claiming that Melinda is the one who kidnapped him and killed his colleague. However, Harry, Chella's boyfriend, doesn't believe what Billy says. Billy immediately attacks him and kills him. Then he takes the pickup truck and leaves the scene. Melinda realizes everything has gone too far and, tormented by guilt, decides to call Officer Lou to confess the whole truth. However, before she can finish speaking, Billy drives the pickup into the store, violently smashing the door. Melinda desperately begs him to take the money and leave. But Billy is no longer motivated by money. He wants revenge, accusing her of ruining everything and turning him into a murderer. He blames Melinda for the deaths of Sela and her boyfriend. Melinda says she truly regrets it, but Billy refuses to accept her apology. Furious, he confronts her, reminding her that she poisoned him and even tried to assault him. Then he shouts with rage, "Do you really think you can get away with this?" He demands to know what she plans to tell the police. Melinda, trembling but resolute, replies that she will tell the whole truth, hiding nothing. Billy mocks her, saying that's not enough, and pulls the trigger, but the gun, already soaked with gasoline, sparks and ignites him immediately. The fire spreads rapidly throughout the store. Melinda is determined to survive. She uses a fire extinguisher as a shield, runs through the flames, and douses the smaller fires along the way to escape. At that moment, Officer Lou and his colleagues arrive. Lou rushes to help her into the patrol car and, with a sympathetic look, gently asks what happened. The film ends there. Ultimately, all the chaos, blood, and fire revolve around a bitter truth: a lack of love and the haunting loneliness endured for too long. Melinda, an ordinary woman working the night shift at a remote gas station, is trapped in a cycle of repetitive work and the tearful gazes of others. Her craving for attention and affection gradually turns into a sick obsession. A single look, a sweet word from a filthy criminal, becomes enough for her to see an opportunity to escape from being alone, invisible, and unnoticed. Yet, paradoxically, the harder she tries to escape, the deeper she sinks. From a trembling victim, she becomes a captor. From someone craving love, she turns into an emotional aggressor. Instead of finding warmth, she leaves only corpses, blood, and guilt. Instead of having a man by her side, all that remains is smoke, fire, obsession, and trembling hands clutching nothingness. Ironically, the entire film is nothing more than a bitter lesson on what happens when loneliness is neglected for too long. It does not become a romantic dream as in novels, it turns into a vivid nightmare. And the greatest tragedy is not the deaths of Billy, Sela, or Perry, but the harsh truth: prolonged isolation can turn a gentle woman into a bringer of terror. If there were a new definition of hell, it surely would not lie underground. It would reside in the hearts of those who have waited too long for love, only to receive none.